Alrighty. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started here. Appreciate everybody taking a little time out of their schedule today. Um, my name is Jeff Kaufman, and I am the SVP of Enterprise Solutions at Rollick. I'd like to welcome you guys all to our inaugural edition of Aimbase University. This is really our first session in an ongoing series we will be conducting to educate Aimbase users on how to maximize use of the platform. So while these sessions are primarily targeted at our existing clients, there are going to be times when even non-users will benefit from the material we're planning to present. And today is a really good example of that. So over the coming months and really over the coming years, various Rollick subject matter experts will present different topics related to how Aimbase can be leveraged to execute lead management, marketing automation, and customer experience programs at the OEM level, and specifically for OEMs that sell through a dealer network, because that's really who Aimbase caters to. So today I'm kicking things off with a session called Why Aimbase? Again, this is a really good topic for both clients and prospects because I'm going to highlight why Aimbase fits within the technology stack of an OEM with two-tier distribution. And I'm also going to cover some of the high-level supporting elements that are required to best leverage the platform. This presentation should only really take about 30 minutes or so. In fact, we are scheduled for an hour, and we will schedule these for an hour going forward, but we're really going to try to keep them to about 30 minutes. So obviously today we'll really just be scratching the surface on what the Aimbase platform is and how to best use it for success. So go ahead and add any questions, as we're going through this in the questions area on the control panel, and we'll try to answer those at the end of the session. But these sessions are also really geared toward hopefully stimulating some conversation between you and the Rollick team that supports you. So just reach out to any of us, and we're available to go far more into depth about anything you see here today. I'm also going to have my contact information on the last slide, so feel free to reach out to me with any questions. Okay, great. Let's get started here. All right, let's start off by discussing the really unique customer journey that exists in our space, and specifically for those in the recreation and leisure segment, because there really are a lot of challenges for us to overcome that really dictates the best approach in our marketing activity. So no shocker here, but the recreation industry is rather unique. Those on the call will understand this well, but we hear from all the time from those that are outside of our space that selling a recreation product is a lot like selling a car, but we all know it's not. You really need a car, so your customer journey and expectations are going to be really different from that of a discretionary product like most of you guys all sell, whose customer journey tends to be longer and impacted by a lot of internal and external factors. But basically, no one needs, a recreation product. You have to want one. But there are exceptions for those people who use recreation products for work purposes. But for the most part, those things are for all of us to have fun, relax, utilize outside of our work environment. The recreation consumer, unlike a purchaser of an automobile or other needs-based product, is also buying not just the product, but they're buying the life cycle. And that's really another key differentiator here, and something we got to tap into with our marketing activity. Now, I'm sure this whole, need versus want dynamic does not surprise anybody on the call today, but really the point is that this type of consumer really requires a unique and integrated marketing approach that follows them not only during their initial purchase inquiry, but also throughout their post-purchase experience. And it really requires a specialized piece of technology to do that. So further evidence of this need for a unique approach is found by looking at some things that are kind of what we call external disruptions, things that are, in the market, out of our control, and more controllable kind of internal realities, things that are specific to the recreation industry and really at the OEM level and the dealer level. And we want to talk about those for just a second. So first is external disruptions. These things really bombard us daily. 2020 certainly showed us how a global pandemic can influence buying behavior. The recreation industry largely benefited from this event, at least when you think about it from a unit sales perspective. But no doubt the pandemic was disruptive and out of our control and presented a lot of challenges. The economy is also always a looming issue. I'm sure a lot of people on this call remember what it was like in 2008 when the market crashed. The recreation space was hit really hard at the time, but overall, we've experienced a tremendous upside of growth and sales since that time. But a decline is always possible, and that would impact sales of a discretionary, recreational product. We haven't had high interest rates in the last 15 years or so, but if interest rates shoot up, the stock market drops, and the recreation takes a hit because the stock market can be perceived wealth, and people will stop buying, or they'll take longer to buy than what they would otherwise. Trade policies can play a role. As we've seen with aluminum tariffs, environmental laws also play a factor, such as shutting down places where you can ride ATVs, run snowmobiles, or limit where you can boat depending on the size of your engine. And weather, some years winter will be longer, shorter than other years, and that can impact products in different ways. Longer winters and more snow is great for snowmobiles, but not so great for boat sales. Internal realities are also something for us to consider here, and this really impacts us a lot more directly. We covered this a few minutes ago, but kind of outside of work or niche vehicles, no one really needs a recreation product. There can be long purchase cycles, especially in RV and marine. And dealers tend to sell multiple brands from multiple competing OEMs, and this can really create a lot of conflict because the OEM wants to sell a consumer their specific product, but the dealer wants to sell them, a product that they carry. And neither side is really wrong here. Both sides are in business to earn the consumer's business. But dealers will take the path of least resistance, and they will sell what's in stock often, even if it means, selling against the lead that they just got. And then this dynamic results in a high degree of flipping. A study we ran a few years ago found this to occur about 43% of the time in the recreation space. It's a real challenge for OEMs to overcome, no doubt. Many dealer territories in marine especially in marine, are protected, which eliminates consumer choice. If you're a boat dealer, you pretty much own that territory geographically. And so, the consumer is really forced to buy from you. And studies show that if that consumer has a negative experience with the dealer in those cases, the odds of keeping the customer and that brand are really infinitely lower. So that's a really key consideration. And then, competing technology solutions utilized by the OEM and the dealer. The OEM wants everyone to use their technology. The dealers want you to use what they have. And this can lead to inconsistencies in communicating to the end customer. So it's important to kind of find a blend of technologies that supports both sides. And then kind of finally here, the dealer feedback loop, it tends to be underwhelming, and it's underwhelming to both the consumer and the OEM. Dealers open leads at less than a 70% clip from an OEM currently. That's a little bit on average. And getting information back to the OEM about lead status is very inconsistent as well. So again, the whole part of all of this is that we're dealing with a very unique set of circumstances. Honestly, the automotive industry has it way easier, need-based products, single-line dealers. But we in the recreation space, we have to be much more strategic by deploying the right mix of marketing tactics married with the right technology to overcome these obstacles, sell our products and meet customer expectations. Rollick understands these things really well, all of these challenges really well. We've been in the space for 23 years, and it's why we built and continue to invest in Aimbase to support this really unique buyer's journey. So now let's talk a little bit about marketing automation, what it is, what it should do for a brand that sells products like all of you do through a dealer network. The reason we're bringing this up is because, very often there tends to be a little misunderstanding in terms of the technology that is needed here based on, what purpose it's being used for. So what is marketing automation? Well, it's not a CRM tool, and this is sometimes where the confusion lies. Marketing automation is kind of a bit of a broad term. It's really any technology designed to automate some form of marketing activity. In our space, marketing automation should be used by OEM marketing teams to automate communication campaigns, nurture or generate and nurture leads, qualify sales-ready contacts, and then communicate to folks post-sale to ensure that these owners are satisfied and nurtured to repurchase. Think about marketing automation kind of as that one-to-many communication. It's really activity all geared toward getting a large audience to take action, but to do so in a really personalized targeted way. Now, once someone kind of raises their hand, then CRM kicks in. CRM is really designed to help sales teams manage existing accounts, new sales contacts, service inquiries. Think about CRM more as that one-to-one communication that maybe a salesperson would have with an end customer. So, once I've identified myself as interested in a product, the sales team will work with me individually and understand if I'm a prior owner, when I'm thinking to buy, when their next reach out is, where I like to, camp, ride, boat, whatever it is. So, usually OEMs need marketing automation and dealers need CRM, but that is not always true. Marketing automation should integrate with CRM, and a lot of the brands that we work with do utilize both platforms, and there can be a ton of really good reasons why an OEM is using both. But if only one platform is used, the need is most typically filled by marketing automation at the OEM level, based on the way that our industry is set up and the uniqueness of how we need to market to end customers. So your marketing automation technology really should support the entire customer lifecycle. Again, we have these really unique buyers with unique challenges. There is a very distinctive buying process that exists when a consumer is buying a discretionary product and doing so through a dealer network. Rollick really understands this well, and there really is a blueprint for managing this customer lifecycle. This diagram here shows you that there are kind of 3 macro level phases in which a consumer can interact with your brand. And then there are kind of these 9 more micro level phases. And it's not to say that, every single customer goes through every one of these phases, but you do have different customers right now in each one of these phases as they are kind of, experiencing your brand. And the idea here is that you want to implement a series of these really, micro tactical level marketing programs, but do so in a very automated manner through technology so that you get them to take their next step along the process. And that's really what the whole story is that Rollick is about and that we try to implement through Aimbase. Okay, now we're going to outline some of the core building blocks for marketing automation success. Okay, if we really boiled things down, there are 4 core building blocks to success with marketing automation. This is really simplifying things. Building a great website, developing engaging content, running lead generation and data acquisition campaigns, and deploying the right technology. When marketing automation flops at an organization, it's typically because a company has not thought comprehensively enough about the whole strategy and all the supporting elements required to make it a success. A lot of people think, oh, okay, let's buy this piece of technology and let it rip. But that's not really a recipe for success, especially not in our space. It's just not that easy. We could spend a lot of hours talking about any one of these 4 subjects, but with kind of a limited amount of time today, we're going to go very high level into each of these areas. And also, it's important to note that we're not sitting here saying you need to do all these things with Rollick. Certainly the technology we think we have, Aimbase, really fills a great gap here. But we work with agency partners across the board to implement a very comprehensive strategy that combines all of these areas. All right, let's start with your website. Your website is really the gateway to your brand. It can often be the first impression a consumer has about you. Prior studies we have done have shown upwards of 85% of buyers, especially in the recreation space, they start their search online. And they will typically whittle their consideration set down to 2 brands before they ever identify themselves. So it's really, really critical you make a great impression on your website. Kind of like I said in the last slide, we could literally talk for a day about what your website should be. But let's just go super high level here and highlight some of the really kind of 10 key elements for a great brand website. Got to be easy to navigate and visually appealing. All pages got to load fast and need to be mobile optimized. For most of the brands that we work with, visits mobily are now a higher percentage than desktop. Very important. Number 4 here is really important. Multiple and prominent lead activities, especially as we get into the next couple of slides, we'll talk a little bit more about this. But there's a lot of ways we can help you just increase your organic lead generation just by changing the way your lead forms are set up and the call to actions on your website. Usually when we start working with someone, it's the most low-hanging fruit. We can increase people's leads just by kind of taking a look at that part of the website. Kind of related to that, number 5 is landing pages and lead forms convert at a high rate. Monitor these things. It's really important. There are vast differences across the board in the brands that we support in terms of the ways that the forms convert. I mean, it's the difference of generating 100 leads one month versus 180 leads one month. I mean, it can be that drastic. On-page SEO best practices are followed. Search engine friendly mobile type pages. SEO is a really key marketing opportunity for a lot of brands. It's a lead generation strategy. Use of customer friendly nomenclature. We add that because a lot of times brands will start promoting their own. They segment categories and pages, and they call it with their brand level names that don't necessarily resonate with the end customer. They really should be the types of terms that people are searching for and wanting to learn more about. So try to use that nomenclature. Fresh, deep, unique content we'll talk about here in a second, and a lot of customer and third-party expert reviews that will really influence repurchase. These things are very highly impactful when we've done studies in the past about what convinces people to buy. It's referrals from friends, positive reviews about products. Okay, another one of our buckets here is content. And content is really king. You have to develop great content that engages consumers at multiple levels. It's got to get them to engage in your emails, via your social media channels, your website, really any of your digital properties. More interaction with your content creates more opportunity for us to track engagement through technology. And I'm not just talking about leads. We can track this behavior as it comes to your websites through Aimbase. We can let you know when that's happening. We can track engagement with your emails. We can let you know when that's happening. There's a lot of that activity that we're able to capture. So you want to generate as much of this activity as possible. Start building these customer profiles. Here on the left side is a content matrix that kind of shows you the multitude of content types and formats that exist out there. The y-axis over here kind of shows this emotional to rational continuum, and then kind of on the x-axis, it's more this awareness to purchase. And when you look at it that way, you can group content into that which entertains, that which inspires, purchase level content, and then content designed to educate. And so this is all just kind of geared toward to let you know there's different pieces of content can be generated for different purposes. On the right here, we show like all the content delivery channels, places where content can be distributed. The idea is that you can create a piece of content and leverage it a variety of ways. And then, really overall, the whole takeaway here with your content is that, consumers are motivated by different things. So it's important to have a content strategy that appeals to different audiences and have it distributed in different channels. So a really important piece of making marketing automation work for you. Okay, now we'll talk a little bit about lead generation and data acquisition. And this stuff is really, really important because a lot of times when you talk about marketing automation, I kind of put data and content, like that's the fuel to make your marketing automation platform go. Like you need those two things to really have it be effective. So lead generation plays a really key role in this process because getting in market prospects aware of your brand, driving traffic to your website is really important for marketing automation success, because you have to create all this activity that I kind of referenced on that prior slide that your marketing automation tool can track and report back to you. So lead generation can be done a lot of different ways. And, I would put, lead generation, traffic generation kind of in the same buckets. And, there's kind of 3 core ones: paid, owned, earned media. And, in the paid bucket, it's your traditional digital media advertising, paid search, retargeting, display advertising, social media advertising, sponsored emails. Your own media, such as your brand website, it's like I kind of talked about the organic forms on your website, just tweaking those things. That's ways for you to generate leads. It's just by being smarter about how your call to actions are on your website, how your lead forms are set up so that they convert at a high rate. Your email database is a piece, your social channels, if you have an outbound call center. And then of course, the earned side of things too. Organic search is owned and very very often overlooked to understand how people rank from an organic search perspective. Great to understand where you rank there with the key terms of the ways people are searching for you. You know, and then a lot of kind of PR, traditional PR stuff, media activation, influencer activation, referral programs. You know, all this stuff drives site traffic to prospects to sales opportunities. It really does. And then here on the right, you can see a lot of factors that impact that success. You know, the way we target, the offer and calls to action, mentioned landing pages and forms before. You know, all this stuff should be measured and optimized. Aimbase provides a lot of that opportunity to measure and optimize that, give you the tools to do that. And it just takes a lot of constant looking and understanding of how we're doing there to make sure the programs are working the way they should. And then all your programs, especially those that run through Aimbase, you know, you should be able to track cost per prospect and contact, your close rate, your cost per sale, your return on investment. All of those things should be captured and tracked out of these types of programs. Data acquisition, very, very often overlooked, very high ROI activity here. In most segments that we work with, you know, recreation, leisure, even industrial, there are typically ways for us to acquire data in different ways. Perfectly legal, perfectly fine from data privacy laws based on the way that we approach it. But what it does is it allows you to cast a wider net with your digital marketing efforts. You know, there are different types of data that can be acquired in certain segments. Now, you can buy owner data in and out of segment. You can buy model data. You can collect data at events, sweepstakes, social campaigns. All of these things can be done by brands to capture additional data. What you see on the right is an example of a client we've been working with several years to build their database. And we can literally, we can, like what we do is we measure when we're running these campaigns and we're acquiring data, we measure the impact of the data that we acquired from all of these processing campaigns. And the ROI on it is just fantastic. So definitely something to look at here. Again, your content and data will really drive the technology. Okay, and then of course the technology piece here, Aimbase, you know what Rollick offers. Aimbase was specifically designed for two-tier distribution, and it really combines enterprise lead management, marketing automation, and customer experience management all in one platform. You know, our experience is working with OEMs that sell through dealer networks. Aimbase was specifically designed to support this type of manufacturer. It has a ton of built-in features to support the connectivity between the OEM, the dealer, and the end customer. And that connectivity at all three levels is really critical at both the pre-sale and the post-sale stages to ensure that all your marketing programs are properly executed and reported upon with all three of those levels of stakeholders kind of, you know, at the forefront. There are just intricacies with this dynamic that, you know, these big box horizontal platforms simply struggle to deliver, and they can be very expensive to implement and to maintain relative to the value Aimbase creates by addressing a really specific set of needs for a specific type of manufacturer. And of course, the other side of this that is really challenging for these big box horizontal platforms to deliver upon is our expertise, Rollick's expertise and connectivity in the space that we play in. You know, we are deeply connected in the various segments we serve in the recreation space. We work at the industry level, the brand level, the dealer level, and the partner level, and even at the consumer level. We understand the opportunities and the challenges that this space creates at all levels, and we spend a lot of time working with clients to develop winning strategies through a combination of all of this technology implementation and tactical marketing programs. I mean, we are, you know, the last year hasn't had a lot of travel, but outside of that, you know, we are constantly in our offices, constantly on calls, optimizing strategies so that they, you know, work for our clients. You know, and again, these big box platforms just don't have the industry experience that we do. This is a slide. This slide here is our Aimbase roadmap. It's really just looking at the next year. The reason I wanted to show this is that to really emphasize the point that, especially at the OEM level, this is our flagship product. Aimbase is this living, breathing piece of technology that we are constantly developing based on the changing needs of our consumer base and our clients. We are right now, you can kind of see in these different areas, marketing, we call it Aimbase Marketing Lead Management, CSI, CRM. We have a ton of programs running. Our development team is pushing out a lot of new functionality and features to appeal to, so that we can better market to our end customers. Things we're working on now on the kind of the lead management marketing side. We're building out some content. A lot of you guys probably know this. I know there's a lot of clients on the call, but contact management. We'll have a whole session dedicated to contact management here in a few months. But about May is when this will all be completed. But it's CRM light type functionality that if you're wanting to help talk to consumers as you pass them off to dealers and be engaged in that process, which is something more and more manufacturers are starting to do, then we've got a tool for you. So a lot of stuff rolling out along there, but also nurture, the ability, more drag and drop nurture editing, the ability to change based on activity, just tons of stuff coming out with our new nurture program. Reports, we've been rolling these out for the last year, and we're going to continue to through our Power BI platform, but new premium reports will be coming out, allowing you to better look at the performance of all these programs and activities that we're running, all the way through closed sales and ROI. CSI, we have a lot, customer satisfaction. We're going to do some address normalization that helps us match prospect to consumers. We're going to be able to do text survey invites. We're doing text survey analytics. So when people provide open-ended texts or feedback to us, we're going to be able to group that into some common themes for you. Scheduled reports, third-party reviews. And then, of course, on our CRM front, we do a lot of integrations with dealers so that we can send leads directly into a dealer CRM platform. In fact, our next session is going to be all geared toward this topic. It's going to be a really good one. But this has become a huge need. It kind of gets to that idea we were talking about earlier, one of those challenges we were talking about earlier about the inability to understand that dealer feedback loop. There's just not enough coming back. But with integration to your dealer CRMs, you can start to get that. And over time, we're going to create tremendous visibility around that. Okay, let's just walk through a couple. Many clients have probably seen these, but I think it's important to re-emphasize it. There's kind of two workflows that we work from to really understand all the power and what Aimbase can do for you. So let's kind of take it through from a prospect experience. So, online, prospects are out there, they're searching for your brand. And there's all sorts of ways to engage these people, as we talked about on a few slides before. We can target them a ton of different ways. And the whole goal is to engage them and get them down to the site so that we can start tracking them. And the moment they hit the site, we are tracking them. It's great, when people submit a lead, we capture that data and we put it into Aimbase. But what about all those visitors that are coming to the website that are not submitting leads? Well, we put them into this bucket called HIT, stands for highly interactive targets. These are your passive leads. That's invisible shopping behavior that exists on the website when people are kind of clicking on your emails, coming back to the website, and they're not completing lead forms. We're actually able to track that and provide you reporting back on that behavior. If you're an existing client right now and you're not getting HIT activity, make sure you reach out to your Relic rep, because we can do this. All we need to do is put a pixel on your website. And it's funny, a lot of manufacturers we work with, some are doing this, some are not. There is tremendous value here. It also starts to build the prospect timeline and their profile, and you'll start to figure out what these people are mostly interested in. We have new tools in Aimbase that are kind of taking all of this behavior, synthesizing it, and then forming these little consumer stories and putting them into cohorts so that we can market to them in the future based on a certain group, the way that they're behaving and interacting on your website. So all of this stuff comes into Aimbase. We capture it and we send it out to dealers as they are assigned to see it, or even to regional reps, right? So a lead will come in, we will send it out to lead contacts. We can send that lead out via email, via our Aimbase mobile app, and I mentioned CRM integrations too. And these hit list activities can be also sent out to dealers if you guys want that to happen. There are add-on services that we can do. I will tell you, the whole idea of OEMs taking more ownership of the prospect process after they submit a lead is, I think in 10 years, this is going to be commonplace across the board. More and more brands are starting to do this. We offer this service to some brands. Other brands do it internally. They would use contact management for something like that, or another CRM to manage those things, or we could support you on that. But this type of program really helps minimize the brand flipping that happens It helps provide all sorts of information about escalations and when there are troubles in the channel happening that we can provide back to you so that, we kind of reduce that friction to a sale. Once all this is kind of churning through Aimbase, there's all sorts of things that can be done. We can do banner ad retargeting, putting advertisements back in front of them. We will nurture them. We talked a little bit about that, but there's all sorts of different ways to really nurture people in a very sophisticated manner. And then these people also, you can use them, you can segment them out and target them very individually for promotions and sales messaging. Aimbase, the email campaign builder is really great. Everything as we send emails out, it automatically tracks all this hit behavior like we put in tracking parameters so that you have a great sense of what's kind of going on with your activity. And then there's a prospect timeline, dynamic scoring alerts, and then the prospect is sold. And now we'll talk a little bit about the owner experience workflow. This is just a sample. These things can be set up a variety of different ways, and I think this is, again, more low-hanging fruit for manufacturers because your owners will tend to, like when we do campaigns and we bring all these data sets in, the owner sets of brands tends to convert at the highest rate. So if you're not nurturing your owners, you're missing out on a great opportunity. So, a big part of that is customer satisfaction and understanding how satisfied they are. So we kind of marry that with owner nurture messaging over time. Again, this is just a sample, but there's an opportunity to do thank you email messaging, and then pop in a 30-day CSI survey. And then, of course, if it's a person who has a bad experience, we can alert you of that, let you know so you can resolve it. If they are not replying, we can send reminder emails. If they are replying, and they're a really promoter, there's someone who's really had a great experience, we can capture ratings and review information from them. It can all feed into Aimbase. You can go in there and approve it. If you're not already running a program like this, talk to your Rollic rep if you're running customer satisfaction for us, because this stuff is great. Great for SEO, great for convincing owners on why to buy your brand. And then, you can implement, longer term 300-day surveys. You can see we've got referral requests, happy anniversary emails. Really, the opportunities here are limited. Okay, just really quickly here, and we'll be wrapped up as just kind of the last couple slides. Just remember this, that, Rome was not built in a day. Kind of the inside story here is that there are those on the team that I work with that laugh or roll their eyes when I say this, but it's probably because I say it 3 or 4 times a week, but it's very, very true. It just take a crawl, walk, run approach here. Some brands will look at all of this and think, oh my God, like it looks a little bit daunting. But don't look at it that way. There really is a process here that can be followed to move at a pace that really suits your brand and your brand's resources best. Rollic can help guide the process here. No one we've ever started working with said, okay, great, let's go, let's do it all right out of the gate. It's always an evolution, and we can help get you there so that you're constantly getting closer to meeting the needs of today's complicated buyer's journey. And so to wrap things up here, if you are an existing Aimbase client, I'd ask yourself how you can be better utilizing Aimbase to execute on this really unique customer journey that exists in our space, and then reach out to the Rollic team that supports you, and we'll kind of help guide you through that process. And if you're thinking about utilizing Aimbase as part of your marketing technology, I'd suggest reaching out to us to take a demo and learn more about how Aimbase and Rollic can specifically address your needs. My information is obviously on screen here if anyone wants to reach out, but I'm going to check the question grid here. I don't see any questions. If anyone has anything to add in there, not seeing anything come through right away. So if you are someone who had a question and you would prefer to do it on a one-on-one basis, go ahead and reach out to me directly. But that kind of concludes our review for today. And again, next month we'll be having a session on CRM integrations, and highly encourage you to come to that as well. Thanks so much for your time. Have a great day.